It's 10 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in Tehran. People are commuting to work. Kids are in school. A city of 10 million people is starting its day. And then, without warning, the sky explodes. In the first 12 hours alone, the United States and Israel will launch nearly 900 airstrikes. The supreme leader of Iran, one of the most powerful men on earth, will be dead before nightfall. And a war that analysts had warned about for 20 years had finally begun. This is the story of the 2026 Iran war. How it started. Why it started. What's happening right now. Here's the first thing you need to understand. This war didn't start on February 28, 2026. It started decades ago. Iran and the United States have been locked in a Cold War since 1979, since Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. They've fought each other through proxies, through sanctions, through assassinations, and through shadowy operations. But the temperature started rising fast after October 7th, 2023. That's the day Hamas attacked Israel. Israel declared war on Hamas. And Iran, which had been funding, arming, and training Hamas for years, suddenly found itself in the crosshairs. Over the next 2 years, Israel systematically dismantled what Iran calls its axis of resistance. Hamas in Gaza weakened. Hezbollah in Lebanon battered. Syria lost entirely when Assad fled in 2024. Iran was losing its chess pieces one by one. Then came the 12-day war in June 2025. Israel launched a surprise attack on Iran's military and nuclear facilities, assassinating generals, killing nuclear scientists, destroying air defenses. Iran fired back with over 550 ballistic missiles and more than 1,000 drones. The United States stepped in, bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites, and brokered a ceasefire. But here's what everyone missed. That ceasefire wasn't peace. There was a pause. Because while the bombs stopped falling, Iran's economy was collapsing. Its currency was in free fall. Its people were starving. And its government, already hated by millions of its own citizens, was about to face the biggest uprising since the revolution. December 28, 2025. Somewhere in Tehran, a woman takes to the street. She's not alone. Across Iran, in all 31 provinces simultaneously, millions of Iranians pour into the streets. 5 million people. The largest protest since the 1979 Islamic Revolution itself. They're not just protesting inflation, though inflation is crushing them. They're not just protesting blackouts and water shortages, though those are real. They're calling for something more dangerous. The complete overthrow of the Islamic Republic. For 10 days, the world watches. Trump watches. And so does the Iranian government. On January 8th, 2026, the government made its choice. Security forces opened fire. According to officials inside Iran's own Ministry of Health, at least 30,000 people were killed in the crackdown. 30,000! In 10 days. Trump threatened military intervention. The international community was horrified, but the killing continued. And in Washington, something shifted. The conversation was no longer about sanctions, or diplomacy, or nuclear deals. The conversation was now, how do we end this regime? February 2026, Washington and Tel Aviv are talking. Intelligence reports confirm what everyone feared. Iran hadn't just survived the 12-day war. It had stored highly enriched uranium in an underground facility that was untouched by the 2025 strikes. Iran was rebuilding. And now, after crushing its own people in the streets, the regime had nothing left to lose. Nuclear negotiations that had been quietly ongoing for months collapsed. The Omani foreign minister, who'd been mediating, said progress had been made. Iran was willing to make concessions. But Trump said he was not thrilled with the talks. He had vowed, from the very beginning of his political career, to never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The military buildup in the region was already the largest since 2003. Aircraft carriers, destroyers, tens of thousands of troops. And then, quietly, the decision was made. February 28, 2026, a Saturday morning. Mid-morning, U.S. and Israeli forces began conducting joint strikes on Iran, numbering nearly 900 in just the first 12 hours. The operation was called Operation Epic Fury. The targets: missile systems, air defenses, military infrastructure, and the leadership of the Islamic Republic itself. Within hours of the first strike, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, who had ruled Iran for 35 years, was dead. The Islamic Republic had just lost its head. Iran didn't surrender. Iran hit back. Hundreds of ballistic missiles and thousands of drones were launched at targets across the region: Israel, U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. A drone struck Britain's Akrotiri base in Cyprus. Missiles were shot down over Turkey. The scale was unprecedented. Sirens blaring in Tel Aviv. Explosions lighting up the Gulf. An entire region suddenly at war. And then Iran made a move that changed everything. It closed the Strait of Hormuz. Think about what that means for a second. About 20% of all the world's oil passes through that narrow strip of water. With one decision, Iran didn't just strike back at the U.S. militarily. It struck back at the entire global economy. The human toll inside Iran has been devastating. At least 1,076 people killed and 26,500 wounded since February 28th. More than 600 schools and education centers have been hit. The U.S. has suffered too. 13 American service members killed in combat. More than 200 wounded. And the ripple effects are spreading globally. Oil prices have surged above $100 a barrel. U.S. gas prices have topped for dollars a gallon for the first time since 2022. In Asia, stock markets are tanking. In the Philippines, the president declared a national energy emergency. In Australia, states are offering free public transport because fuel is too expensive. The war is now threatening global agriculture markets and food prices, meaning the people who have the least to do with this conflict may ultimately pay the highest price. It is now day 35 of this war, and the most honest thing I can tell you is this: nobody knows how it ends. Here's where things stand right now. The U.S. military says it is winning. Secretary of State Rubio has claimed the U.S. has largely destroyed the Iranian Navy and Air Force, and is well on track to eliminate a significant percentage of Iran's missile launchers and weapons factories. Trump addressed the nation just days ago. He said military objectives were nearing completion and that the war would end shortly. He also threatened that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages. But Iran, battered as it is, has not broken. Iran's military has said the war will continue until its enemies face humiliation and surrender, and specifically warned the U.S. against any ground invasion. The diplomatic picture is a mess. Trump claimed Iran's president asked for a ceasefire. Iran's foreign minister immediately denied it, saying at present there is no negotiation. A senior Iranian source told Reuters that Iran demands a guaranteed permanent ceasefire, not a temporary pause before any talks begin. Iran has also made clear that Lebanon must be part of any deal, meaning any ceasefire is conditional on ending the separate war against Hezbollah in Lebanon too. Meanwhile, Iran's own president privately warned that without a ceasefire, Iran's economy could collapse within 3 to 4 weeks. He allegedly clashed with the IRGC over how the war is being conducted. The civilian government wants out. The military wants to keep fighting. Iran is fracturing from within, and that may be exactly what the U.S. and Israel are counting on. Let me zoom out for a second, because I want to make sure you understand why this war matters even if you've never set foot in the Middle East. The Strait of Hormuz is not just an Iranian problem. It is a global artery. The UK is currently holding talks with 40 countries on how to reopen it. Because when that strait is closed, the entire world pays. Your gas bill goes up. Your groceries cost more. The plane ticket you bought 3 months ago might cost 3 times as much to rebook. The fertilizer that farmers need to grow food gets more expensive. And when fertilizer gets more expensive, food gets more expensive everywhere. CSIS analysts are now warning that the war is threatening global agriculture markets and food security, not just in the Middle East, but in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America too. And then there's the nuclear question, the one that started all of this. After 35 days of airstrikes, after the destruction of dozens of military sites, does Iran still have a nuclear program? The honest answer is, we don't know. The IAEA has been denied access to the damaged sites. Iran has not confirmed or denied what survived. And a regime fighting for its existence that believes the U.S. wants to destroy it is a regime with every incentive to pursue the ultimate deterrent. The war that was launched to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon may have made that outcome more likely, not less. 35 days ago, 900 bombs fell on Iran in a single morning. A supreme leader was killed. A strait was closed. A region erupted. And the world changed. The questions now are the ones nobody can answer yet. Will Iran's government collapse or dig in? Will a ceasefire come, or will the bombs keep falling? Will the strait reopen, or will this become the defining energy crisis of our generation? And here's the question that keeps historians and analysts up at night. Was this the war that finally ended Iran's nuclear ambitions? Or the war that made them inevitable? We don't know yet. What we do know is this: the Middle East will never look the same. The global order, already shaking, has been shaken harder. And somewhere right now, in Tehran, in Tel Aviv, in Washington, and in the homes of millions of ordinary people caught in the middle, the story is still being written. If you want to stay ahead of it, subscribe. Because we're going to keep covering this until we know how it ends.